So now that we have defined what a function actually is, we're going to use algebra and function notation to evaluate functions at different pairs. So let's start with A. The way you read A is it's f of -3, which means find the value of the function when x is equal to -3, because as you see, x has been replaced by -3. So what we're going to do that is we're going to take this function that we're given, 2x squared minus 3x plus 1, and wherever there was an x, we're going to plug in -3. So we'll plug in a -3 here and a -3 here. Now we do the math. Now where you have to remember your order of operations. So we have to square before we multiply. So 2, -3 squared is -3 times -3, which is +9. And then -3 times -3 here is going to give you +9, and then finally +1. The next step is to do 2 times 9, which is 18, and 18 plus 9 plus 1 will give us 28. B is a little bit different because instead of plugging in a single number, we are actually plugging in an expression. So I'm going to move my screen over here. So remember that f of x was 2 times x squared minus 3 times x plus 1. And this time, we're going to plug x minus 3 into our parentheses. So here and here. All right, we're really getting into some algebra here. So the first thing we want to do is take care of our exponent. So I'm going to go over to the side for a minute, and I'm going to show you 2 different ways that you can do this. One way is to write it out long ways, x minus 3 times x minus 3, because that's what it means to square. And I'm going to use the process of FOIL, which means you multiply first times first, outside times outside, inside times inside, and last times last. And all FOIL is an acronym to help you remember that there are 4 multiplications that you're going to do when you multiply these 2 binomials. So you have to make sure you do x times x, that would be first times first. Outside times outside, so we did x times x, now we're doing x times -3. But then we have to do inside times inside. I'm sorry, it keeps jumping on me. Which would be -3 times x. And then finally, we have to do last times last, which would be -3 times -3. So that means we did x times each of these, and we do -3 times each of these. And so we've multiplied everything in both parentheses together. So x times x, first times first, would be x times x, which is x squared. Outside times outside is x times -3, which is going to give us -3x. Inside times inside is -3 times x, which again is -3x. And then last times last is -3 times -3, which gives us a +9. Then if we combine like terms, -3x plus -3x is -6x. So to square that, we end up with the trinomial x squared minus 6x plus 9. So that's method 1. Method 2 is the box method. And if you're a visual person, this might be the way that you choose to multiply two binomials. Or it can be used to multiply any polynomials. But what you do is you set up a box like so. And I'm going to put x minus 3 across the top and x minus 3 down the left-hand side. And to get the value that goes in this first box, you're going to do x times x, or x squared. The second box is going to be negative 3 times x, which is negative 3x. The box down here is going to be x times negative 3, which again is another negative 3x. And finally, this last box is negative 3 times negative 3, which is positive 9. And if you'll notice, a lot of times, not every time, but a lot of times, the diagonal is where you'll find your like terms. And if we combine negative 3x and negative 3x, we get negative 6x, and we'll wind up with the same answer we got using FOIL. It doesn't matter what method you use. I want you to pick the method that makes the most sense to you. All right, so back to our original problem, and then we'll stop the video. Sorry, this one is a little long. So we FOILed this, and we got x squared minus 6x plus 9. Then we're going to distribute that negative 3 to both of these, which will give us negative 3x plus 9 plus 1, because negative 3 times x is negative 3x. Negative 3 times negative 3 is positive 9. Now I'm ready to distribute the 2 to all three terms in this set of parentheses. So I'll get 2x squared minus 12x plus 18, so I'm just doubling everything in here, minus 3x plus 9 plus 1. So now I'm looking for like terms that I can combine. There are no other x squared, so I'm going to bring that down. I have a negative 12x and a negative 3x, which will give me negative 15x. And then I have 18, 9, and 1. And so that's going to be 28, so plus 28.